A recurring theme of a lot of videos that we have done when it comes to the transfer analysis of some of the major Indian football clubs playing in the Indian Super League is that there are a lot of incomings and outgoings, and this is true even for clubs who haven't necessarily replaced their manager or someone in the top management. However, JAMSHEDPUR FC are an interesting, let's say, exception to this particular rule, because when you're analyzing their transfers, you'll realize they've not let go of too many players, and they haven't really signed too many either. So it is in many ways a sort of a consistency that has been maintained through, let's say, their roster, which of course is something that you don't often see in Indian football. So the fact that we're seeing it in itself deserves some credit, that JAMSHEDPUR FC have, despite actually changing managers, not really made that much in the way of major changes to their squads. Because what tends to happen is a new manager comes in, he generally prefers players he's more comfortable with or players he's worked with in the past, and that hasn't really happened in JAMSHEDPUR. Of course, they're aided considerably by the fact that the man who is going to be managing them hasn't, of course, managed in India prior to that. He's had some experience managing in the places like the Philippines as well as Thailand, but not in India. This will be a first. But that being said, JAMSHEDPUR FC have largely stuck with their core that represented them in the 2022-23 season, and that can, of course, only be a good thing. Because in a sport like football, a team sport where everyone has a part to play, continuity is very, very important. You don't want large overhauls, because that can more often than not end up complicating things. Despite that, a lot of clubs go the route of complicated long overhauls, but JAMSHEDPUR SC haven't done that. Let's quickly take a look at the players they've let go of, as well as some of the players they have signed. Let's starting with the players they've let go of. Again, if you're looking at this list, it's not a very exhaustive one. They, of course, let go of Petar Sliskovic. These are players who joined, sorry. They have Petar Sliskovic, there's Elsinho, there's Provat Lakra, there's Ray Tachikawa, there's Jeremy Manzoro, Imran Khan, and Alan Stevanovic. These are the players who have joined the club. Again, when you're looking at that, 7 players doesn't seem like a large list, especially when there are certain clubs who have signed up to 11-12 players. That is, of course, practically a whole playing 11 of players as well as one substitute. In that sense, JAMSHEDPUR SC have done very, very well to keep their incomings to a minimum. Of course, there will be a few new players signed. That is pretty much the cycle of a sport like football, but it's not too many. Now, you look at players who left, believe it or not, the number is even less. There's an Eli Sabir who's left. There's Laldan Liana Ranthli. There's Farooq Chaudhary. Ishan Pandita was a bit of a surprise in the sense that he left. And then, of course, there is Boris Singhvi. Now, these are just 5 players. Again, 5 players is not a lot when you're looking at transfer outgoings, especially in a time when you have to ensure that your let's say squad has enough players who are of Indian origin and foreign players, because there is, of course, a limitation on the number of foreign players you can play. Look at this, 7 players out, 7 players in 5 players out isn't a major overhaul. Of course, JAMSHEDPUR, it helps significantly that they've been a pretty consistent side in the recent past. Yes, they've had, of course, there were some struggles as well in between, but by and large, they haven't really done a lot to, let's say, shake up the system, but they've not really been in that sort of a position where they feared that they've hit rock bottom. It's been very up and down, it's been very mixed. But when you're looking at it in this way, well, you'd realize that, truth be told, they're probably better off not investing in too many newer players and merely sticking to the core that they have already. It's a good move, and one that I hope pays off, because I think it would show the way to a lot of football clubs in India specifically, that you don't necessarily need to be having major overhauls every season. You can look to bring in 5-6 players, let go of as many, but generally retain the core or the nucleus of your squad. It helps, it does foster a term of or sense of long-term planning, and that will often, or more often than not, if done right, lead to some degree of sustained success. Of course, JAMSHEDPUR haven't had that kind of success ever since they were founded in 2017, but if they stick on this route, who knows, they might very well be at least making it to the playoffs comfortably and maybe even just winning the ISL. Who really knows? I, for one, think they're in with a good chance, because unlike a lot of teams, they've actually stuck with their core. What are your thoughts on this? You guys can let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Don't forget to download the SportsTak app, and if you're already on the channel, go ahead, check out some other videos that we've done as well. But for now, from my side, it is goodbye.